Boop. Good morning. Happy Monday. I hope you had a good weekend and that you got out and enjoyed the weather that we had. It was a little chilly, but it was really, really nice weather. And it's still a little chilly today, but here in Chattanooga, it's pretty glorious outside. So good time to get out and take a walk. Maybe go somewhere you hadn't walked to before, or around your neighborhood, or if you can get out and walk around a park, it'd be a good day for it. Today's Bible readings were from Psalm 102, 1 through 17, Exodus 13, 17 through 22, and then Acts 7, 17 through 40. But I'm going to focus on Exodus 13, 17 through 22 today, because whenever I read this, it kind of makes me think of a perennial question that comes up anytime somebody starts reading the Bible and actually starts paying attention to what's going on, and starts thinking about things like, where are they starting from, where are they heading, and then they usually pops up anytime they actually look at a map, right? So this is the start of the story for when the Israelites leave Egypt and they're heading to the promised land, right, of Canaan, right? And what usually happens is I'll have somebody come up to me and they've really started paying attention to the Bible. They've made their way through Genesis and they're into Exodus and they get to this point. And then they've kind of, I guess, realized that they're heading towards Canaan, and they kind of know where that is. It's modern-day Israel, and that they're leaving Egypt, and they know where that is because it's modern-day Egypt. And then they look at a map, and they think, okay, well, they should go this way, but then they see that they went this way. And generally what that means is they think, well, the shortest route between Egypt to Israel, or the land of Canaan, would be to go along the coast. That's the shortest route. And then they see that the people of Israel go down, and they go down the coast, and they go into the Sinai Peninsula, and then they get, something happens, and they're stuck out there for 40 years. And the question is, why didn't Moses look at a map? Why didn't he just go that way? It's a shorter route. Well, there's a very good reason, because God. And that basically comes down to God had his reasons for taking them, and it makes it very clear in Exodus why God wanted to take the long way home, right? I don't know if you've ever been on a trip driving with your family or anything, but at the end of a long day and you just want to get home quickly, and then somebody wants to take the long way home, well, sometimes they have a good reason for that. And God's good reason was, as it says in Exodus here, it says that he took them the roundabout way of the wilderness towards the Red Sea. Well, why did he do that? It's not faster, but it's safer. And what it basically means is that he knew that taking them that way, that they would face less adversity, because he knew that these people that he had just delivered out of the land of Egypt, out of captivity, out of slavery, they really couldn't handle the faster route. It says in, I'll just let the text speak for itself. It says in verse 17, if the people face war, they may change their minds and return to Egypt. That's where we're allowed in on God's inner dialogue here. This is what he's saying to himself. It says, for God thought, if the people face war, they may change their minds and return back to Egypt. That's what he was sure they would do. That's what he knew they would do. That they couldn't face the adversity and make it through. That as soon as that adversity raised its head, they would just want to run back to where they had started from, and he would never get them to the place he was taking them, the place he had prepared for them. So if the people face war, they may change their minds and return to Egypt. In the face of adversity and challenge, these people, he knew, would lose hope, and then they would start to despair, and they would turn and go back to where they began, and they would never push on to their goal. And that's quite it. They would start talking about how they wanted to go back to Egypt. And that brings to mind a really good song. If you ever get a chance to look it up, actually, when you get done here, you should, watching this, you should look up Keith Green, a guy named Keith Green. He was a big Christian artist, really popular in the end of the 70s, early 80s, died in 1982, I think. But he has this great song called So You Want to Go Back to Egypt. And he basically tells the story of Israel as a perpetual, which it is, it's a perpetual tale of seeking, let's say, seeking shortcuts in the face of adversity and strife. Anytime the people, and especially as they enter the wilderness, they get confronted with strife and any kind of adversity, any kind of difficulties, they despair, they give up hope that things could ever work out well for them. They give up faith in the God who had led them out of Egypt in the first place, and they just want to go back to Egypt. And that song does a great job of telling the story about that. So give it a listen. It's really good. It's kind of funny, too. So that's why God took the long way home. Because the point of the journey with God was to reach the goal. It wasn't just to get there fast. The point of the journey was to reach the goal. The point of the journey actually was for God to be present with his people and his people to be present with him. Matter of fact, he's pretty honest about that from the get-go. The first meeting that Moses has with Pharaoh, he says to him, God says, let my people go so that they can come out into the wilderness and worship me. Moses was really honest and forthright with Pharaoh from the get-go. This is why God wants his people, so they can be with him and worship him. And so, to that degree, they were already where they were supposed to be. And they forgot, I think, too, that even though they were taking the long way home, and even though they were going to face adversity, just because he didn't go by the coastal route and have to deal with the Philistines, and that's the real reason. If you pay attention to verse 17, it says, when Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them by the land of the Philistines, although that was nearer. And it's because the Philistines would have, eaten them for dinner. Read up on the Philistines. Bad people. Anyway, so, the whole point was to be present with them and them to be present with him. And it's not like he was sending them on this trip alone. He was with them, and the promise was that he was going to journey with them the whole way. And it says at the end of this section that the Lord went in front of them in a pillar of cloud by day to lead them along the way, and in a pillar of fire by night to give them light, so that they might travel by day and by night. Neither the pillar of cloud by day nor the pillar of fire by night left its place in front of the people. So, what do we do in the face of adversity when we're on this journey with God, or when God has delivered us from whatever captivity we're in and is asking us to go a new place? And he takes us the long way around, takes us the long way home to this place he's prepared for us. Try not to focus on distance so much, or how far off that goal seems to be. Rather focus on this pillar of cloud, this pillar of fire that's traveling with you the whole way along, and realize that the better part of the journey is actually the fact that God is already with you. So, anyway, have a good day. We will see you tomorrow for daily Bible reading on Tuesday. Anyway, have a good night. Boop.